Of that game, it is time for the big interview as we check in with Iowa women's head coach Lisa Bluder once again. Lisa, I think the last time you and I spoke was about 3 weeks ago, and you had a stretch in there of 7 games in 20 days. Now you've been off since Saturday, and there's been unseasonably warm weather in Iowa City. I mean, does this almost feel like a mini February vacation?
It almost feels like March. I mean, with the weather that we're having, it's beautiful. But not only that, I just feel like the intensity of the games that we've been playing in and the crowds that we've had, it really does kind of feel like March Madness right now going on. Not complaining, love the competition and love the just the excitement surrounding the games.
You bring up an interesting point because I think one of the unspoken jobs that a coach has to do this time of the year is balance, keeping your team in rhythm when it's playing well, but giving them the needed rest. How do you approach that?
Yeah, it's a little bit easier with a veteran team like ours. They don't have quite as much learning, or they don't need quite as many reps, in my opinion. And so really doing a little bit more film work, trying to make practices a little bit shorter. I think that's really important this time of year so that they have full legs for those games.
There have been so many games where the intensity for your team and the opponent has been off the charts. You point out the Michigan State game, the Ohio State game, which goes to overtime. What's it been like for you and your team knowing that whether you're at home, whether you're on the road, no matter who you play, even Maryland this past weekend, which isn't having a typical Maryland year but played a terrific game, what's it feel like to know you're going to get everybody's best shot every time you play?
Yeah, we know that going into it, and it's kind of been true. I feel like we've been getting everybody's best shot, but that's what you expect, right? I mean, right now I think we're ranked second in the country, and certainly, you expect to get everybody's best shot, but that's only going to make you better. That's going to make you better for the Big Ten tournament. It's going to make you better in March for the NCAA tournament. So, bring it on now so that we're prepared. That's what we really want.
Well, you'll get a little bit more of it on Thursday night. You face a really talented and, in my estimation, one of the most underrated teams in the country in Penn State. They can score in so many different places. Ashley Owusu adds a completely different element. What do you see in Carolyn Keeger's team, and what do you expect to see on Thursday night?
Yeah, I agree with you. I think Penn State is just doing tremendous this year, and I think Michigan State, too. I think those are the two, I think they should both be ranked. I mean, they're both really good basketball teams. And so, yeah, going up against Carolyn Keeger, she does a tremendous job as well. But, we know we're going to have to face the press, which we've been pretty good against the press. So hopefully that will hold true. But, defensively stopping them is tough because they shoot so many threes. They're excellent three-point shooters, but they can get to the rim, too. They're athletic. And definitely Owusu, we've played against her at Maryland. We kind of were, sigh of relief when she left to go to Virginia Tech, and now she's back in the Big Ten. So tremendous player and very, very hard to defend.
We know that Caitlin gets most of the attention, and that's understandable. But before we get to Caitlin's pursuit of the record, Lisa, I want to talk about Kate Martin. She was just named to the So You Want to Be a Coach class of 2024, really prestigious honor with the Women's Basketball Coaches of America based on the court, off the court. You have to do all sorts of different things. What does Kate mean to you and to this program as both a player and a person?
Yeah, it's hard to put into words what Kate has done for our basketball team. And I feel sorry for people that don't have a Kate Martin on their team. Somebody that puts team first before themselves personally. A person that is so aware of what's going on around them and what the locker room needs at that particular time. A person that's unafraid of holding people accountable, which a lot of young women are afraid to. They don't want to make enemies, right? But I think everybody has so much respect for Kate. They listen to her. They see how hard she works. They see how much this team means to her. She's going to be a great coach, and I'm going to do everything in my power to keep her here at Iowa.
Lisa, there were some interesting comments this week by Kelsey Plum, who Caitlin Clark is now only 65 points away from tying, and talking about her pursuit of the record. And she actually said it was one of the most overwhelming and stressful times in her life. She doesn't look back on it with a lot of joy because it was more stress than it was happiness. I watch Caitlin play. I don't see any of that. It seems like she's truly trying to enjoy every moment of this run. What about her has allowed her to approach this in that way?
Everybody's different, right? Every person reacts to pressure differently. Every person handles, these kind of moments differently. I cannot believe the maturity that Caitlin has handled this with. And I'm not saying that Kelsey was immature. I respect her feelings very much. But I think that Caitlin, first of all, has a great support team around her. I believe her confidence just lets her know that she's going to break the record. And quite honestly, this hasn't been a burden to her. She's just coming in ready to bust it down. And I love that attitude with Caitlin.
How much, if at all, have you allowed yourself to think about what that moment will be like for you when she scores 66 more points?
I haven't spent a lot of time thinking about it, to be quite honest. People have to keep reminding me how many points because I don't keep track of it. And I'm not sure. I haven't thought about it much. I think when the season is over, and you have a little bit more time to reflect, it'll be meaningful. But right now, it's just like prepare, right? We got Nebraska next. We got Penn State and Nebraska this week, and that's all I'm worried about.
Lisa, this pursuit also allows us to remember how good the players were that Caitlin is passing. And she just passed Kelsey Mitchell to become the all-time Big Ten scorer. And I know you coached against Kelsey throughout her time at Ohio State. What do you remember about her game?
Oh, my goodness. I mean, that's another one you just breathe a sigh of relief when she was gone because she was such an amazing offensive player. Hard to guard because she could guard, score at all the three different areas and just a superior athlete. But I also, got the pleasure of coaching against Jackie Stiles, who was just as good of an offensive player, amazing in the Missouri Valley Conference. And so it's an amazing accomplishment. Again, I don't know that we fully have grasped, how significant this is yet, just because we're trying to put one game, just win the next game.
Lisa, how crazy is it to think, did you ever envision that you'd have a player or that there would be any player in women's college basketball that could draw so much attention that there would be a network that places a camera, in this case the Caitlin cam, on one player for everything that she does or doesn't do throughout the course of an entire game?
Yeah, no, that would never happen. I never thought that would happen. That and alone would probably really affect a lot of players' performances. And again, that just goes to Caitlin's just concentration on the court, not to worry about things outside of what's happening within the court lines and just focus on her play. And I think that would really probably hamper a lot of people or make people self-conscious, but not Caitlin.
Lisa, let's finish with a big picture conversation about what this means for not just women's basketball, but for women's college sports in general. The timing of Caitlin, the rise of your sport, the visibility and popularity of sports like women's volleyball in Nebraska, putting 100,000 people inside a football stadium. Has the concept of what we thought possible for women's college sports changed forever?
I hope so. And I think it's going to keep growing. I think we're seeing now the effects of Title IX finally, and that these women that are now mothers and grandmothers actually had a chance to play, and they value the game and they know how significant it is to their development personally and professionally. So I think we're seeing, because of TV and because of coverage like yours, Rick, that we're seeing that fathers are understanding my daughters need good role models, and they're here. This Iowa basketball team has amazing role models. I think because of the exposure the Big Ten Network, first of all, gave us, several years ago, people started to see the joy that this team played with and the quality of play that people weren't seeing before. So I credit a lot of things. I credit Title IX. I credit the style of play and the quality of play that women's basketball has right now. But I also I credit the media exposure that has, exposed people to this great product and these unbelievable women. We all need something positive to cheer about today, and I think women's basketball and women's athletics are providing that for us.
Yeah, I know you feel remarkably lucky to coach your team, to coach Caitlin, to be coaching in this generation, and I can speak for all of us here. We feel the exact same way, to have had the opportunity to cover it and be part of this magical journey. Really well said, Lisa. Always appreciate you. Always enjoy catching up. Best of luck to you and the Hawkeyes on Thursday night when you face the Nittany Lions.
Thanks, Rick. I appreciate it.